Welcome to this podcast episode in Starseed Gathering, this lovely sacred place where I help people sharing their spiritual business. You will hear about a specific guest today that has so many gifts for the world, and I'm very excited for you to be here. Just open your heart and allow anything that is shared during this conversation to touch your soul and your heart on the highest level. And if you need any more support, you can contact the guest with the links below and myself also linked below. So wishing you a beautiful podcast episode listening right now. Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome to Starseed Gathering, the podcast that I created over a year ago now to showcase all of those beautiful light workers around the planet that are supporting the awakening, the raise of the frequency of this planet, the development of consciousness. So we have Hillis with us that is a beautiful soul that is in Florida at the moment, helping people with his energy healing and so many other gifts. So please present yourself, Hillis, with everything that you do. Share about you. We want to know all about you.
Well, it's not always all about me. It's about the people who I assist, which I feel is a bigger purpose, something more of my calling, so to speak, something that brings me joy is being of service. But uh, to formally introduce myself, I'm Hillis. I am a soul mentor and energy facilitator of Sirian and Lemurian light energies. I am one of two teachers on the planet that can attune people to this particular modality. So makes me rare in what I do. I'm a psychic medium. I am a teacher and speaker of the law of vibration and gratitude. So, there's pretty much anything that I haven't done on the spectrum in this realm, and it all brings me joy to do what I do.
Oh, I love that. And tell me when how did you actually connect it to this specific type of healing that you're using or the attunement you were just talking about? Tell me a bit like what brought you to this type of teaching in your life.
So, as I honed my psychic mediumship and was becoming more proficient in what I do and being of service, I then asked the question we all ask, what do I do next?
Right.
And so there, I started going. At this time, I was living in New York, in Brooklyn, to be exact. And I used to go to the center in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, where they had Reiki share circles. So I would go there, and then I connected with these amazing people. It's like, well, maybe this is what I should do next. And then, being a member of Edgar Casey in New York, the New York chapter, being a medium there, there were other healers that I connected with, and one just happened to be a Reiki master. And I connected with her, and she taught me, Reiki level 1. And after I received that, hmm, there's got to be something more. There's got to be something else. Got to be something else that fits my personality, my persona.
Hmm.
And I was on Facebook and scrolling through some of my friends' feeds, and I saw this post about Lemurian light work, and I read it was like about 3 paragraphs long, and I read every single word and felt all the energy in it. I'm like, yes, this is the one. This is the one. And just so happens my teacher is in Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and so, that's how I got on this path. And it took me about 8 months to really understand and begin to utilize this for myself. And then begin to, it wasn't up until about a year ago, a year and a half ago, I was able to attune this for other people. So I was being of service using this modality, by helping others and helping myself and understanding it more. But for about 3 years, 3.5, close to 4 years before I was able to with others.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's so interesting. And, I love that you're actually sharing, this, we do so many different courses and we're like really enlightened and excited and we're like, oh, I can do this. Ooh, this is exciting. But yeah, how do I put all of that together? And I had the same feeling, and we're not judging anyone here. I've done Reiki 1 and 2 and I was like, yeah, no. Not because for me it was just not exactly what I was meant to be doing. And yes,
Yeah,
I do energy healing, but I found also like different types of healing, and then it was also like, and then at some point you can channel so many things when you're open. So I love that
yeah,
you asked to have a bit more clarity and also followed your intuition, right? Because you could have seen that post, had this like home fin, just nah, no. You actually went through and actually did all of the action. And that's the part when I connect with beautiful students that want to, develop the connection with their higher self and their intuition. And it's like, okay, it's not only about receiving the information and seeing it when it's there or acknowledging it. It's also like, do you make the action towards what
yeah.
you're being shown?
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people and life in general, where the law of vibration comes in at. Because, we often receive these intuitive hits, if you will, this intuitive knowing of what's best for me or what's in my best interest and how can I best move forward in this. And there it is that it's right there in front of you. It's like, yes, you to do this. Sometimes it's literally written for you what steps to take. And then other times you just may have to ask questions and use your inquisitiveness to follow through and to make sure that you are a right vibration or match for what it is that you're seeking. And I think that's most important is using that space of discernment to really know what's best for you.
Exactly, exactly. Because you can do a bunch of courses and learn a bunch of things,
Yeah.
but I think it's only when you are actually really, really true to your divine essence, then the doors open in front of you and it makes so much sense and it feels good and you feel excited about what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, because I mean, there's all these things, theta healing and forensic healing, and this kind of healing and sound healing, and this and this and this and this. There's a plethora of modalities for people to choose from, but there's always the one that sets everything in motion. And for me, it was, my psychic mediumship, the intuitiveness, the sixth sense, because that's something and actually, we're all born with this. As a child, I have these premonitions, and as a teenager, they begin to grow. And then as an adult, I had an experience to where I ended up turning them off
Hmm.
inadvertently, but then through the experience, I ended up turning them back on again by going to school, by honing my abilities. But I feel when you have the psychic mediumship, when you hone the intuitiveness, you then can really guide yourself to the next steps to follow. Because I mean, you can have a toolbox full of uh, modalities, if you will, but once you find the one, like for me personally, and this is just in my experience, when I found the one, it opened me up to a lot more because I know light language, or as I call it now, galactic language. I write my own symbols. I channel other symbols, and I even speak it. And so it's this space to where when you open up to one and have that intuitive flow, everything else begins to follow that. Because honestly, I wouldn't have known I would be doing what I'm doing, 20 plus years ago.
Right. You would ask your 20-year-old self, like, would you see yourself doing that? And he would probably be like, no way.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. I mean, my life when I was in my early 20s was on a different trajectory, as I'm sure most were at that time, but maybe not all, especially now with all the new star children, the indigo children, the rainbow children, the crystal kids, as I call them, are coming in. So, I mean, they'll probably be on their purpose at 10 and 11, 12 years old.
Right, right, exactly. And it's very interesting that you were talking about your gifts being very open as a child. With a lot of us, right, are hypersensitive and we feel so much and
and we don't really learn to trust that because it's scary and we feel so much. And do you mind sharing what happened so that you actually asked to like, oh, this is
Yeah.
too much, this is too much, I don't want to deal with that anymore?
Well, like I said, as a child, I had premonitions. I used to see things as a child, and because growing up in a Baptist home, it wasn't one of those things that was really nurtured, and so it's just something I kept to myself until I started having premonitions about my grandmother, which was in my early adulthood of her making her transition. And it was then it's like I gotta say something, I gotta say something. And I've been holding this in for like I don't know how long, most of my life. I gotta say something. So when I finally did, it was it was received but not believed, if that made
Right.
sense. It was
Mm.
received but not believed, which I feel most are. But the experience that was really overwhelming for me was I was in, not to go into a lot of the subtext of details, but I was in my apartment at the time and I felt a spirit with me. I wasn't sure who the spirit was, why the spirit was in my home, and it was a lot. I mean, it was a lot, like in my face, a lot, and like a very big presence. And I was like, I got to get out of my apartment. I got to get out. I got to leave. And I left my apartment. And as I'm walking down the street, I am hearing everyone's thoughts that I walk past.
Oh my.
Everyone's thoughts. So it was if you ever watch Star Trek, Deanna Troy, how she hears people's thoughts, feeling the emotions. That's what it was like for me. Or even, people want to put in more modern day context, like, less than 20 years ago.
Wow.
There's
Yeah.
Jean Grey from the X-Men and how is a telepath. So that's what I felt like. And it was uncontrollable. I couldn't control what I was hearing, what I was feeling. And so somehow in that experience for me, walking out of my house, walking down the street, at least 3 or 4 blocks to the grocery store to get some sage, come back, I like sage in my house, I somehow turned off my abilities. I think it was too
Oh.
much. I couldn't deal with it. And so it wasn't until, years later, maybe about 3, 4 years later, thereafter, as then started going to psychic mediumship school in New York to really hone my abilities to really, I don't want to say control them, but get a more sense of mastery with them. You know?
Wow. Yeah, I must have been very scary. It's like, why am I like hearing all of this stuff? Like, I don't want to hear all of this. I don't like it must have
Yeah, I
felt
mean,
so
some of the thoughts,
overwhelming.
it was very intrusive. It was I'm like, what? It was like very shocking and some of this. And to this day, I'm not going to say, but to this day, I can still remember some of the thoughts that people had on that very specific night. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Because you don't have the social filter, right? It's just the
Oh,
thought, no filter. Oh
right.
my God.
Exactly. Can you imagine living in a world where we had access to each other's thoughts? No filter. You
Yeah.
really have to be, and this takes me
Mindful.
back. Yeah, I'm not mindful, and this takes me back to one of the things that I teach and learned about, with when it comes to the law of vibration, and they talk about becoming a master of your thoughts, and when you have master of your thoughts, that's true thought power, true energy. Because once you master the mind, you can master the emotions, and you can really hone and focus on your skill set of your abilities and modalities.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I love that. And it's, yeah, because we know how much if you spend a lot of time thinking about negative stuff, like your vibration lowers and it doesn't take very long. And then more thoughts of negative things and lower vibrations come in, and it's just like a pile of them, like just a couple minutes later. So we
Yeah.
know the power of the mind, right? And we want to use it for our benefit, right?
Exactly, exactly. And one of the things that I learned about this modality particularly, and just to give some context and contrast, is when I used to go to the Reiki share circles. And after one in particular, I had a friend at the time when we would always go together. And one day we went to lunch afterwards. He's like, I'm so tired. I'm like, why are you tired? because of, doing the Reiki share and this and that, I'm like, you shouldn't be tired. Something's not right. You're not. And so it really helped me to understand how to channel energy and the importance of having a clear meridian system, having a clear nervous system for the energy to flow through. Because if you're tired after performing Reiki, then you're not channeling energy the right way. And the one thing that I really learned about this modality is how to channel energy, how to gather energy from your environment, to gather energy from using particular galactic symbols, how to use and how to channel that in such a way to where that when you're done, you're either energized or you're just back at the level where you started before you began the session. I think that's most important that a lot of people, or misconception that a lot of people had or still have about really channeling energy into the body.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it's so important to remember that you're not supposed to use your energy. You're supposed to channel energy through you and be a conduit to kind of
Yeah,
help. And of course, as you said, if you feel, for me, if I feel tired, there's a mismatch of energy with me and the person I'm helping. There's something
yeah,
wrong. Like I shouldn't be tired after a session, after speaking to anyone, even people around us, right?
yeah.
We all have
Well,
those people around us. But yeah, go
oh yeah,
ahead.
for sure. I mean, and even in that, I mean, even if we do channel energy, is it being channeled the proper way to flow through us in the right way, and where it's not getting stuck in our body, getting stuck in our system. And I think that's also really important is to understanding the flow in which things move.
Right, right, exactly, exactly. And it's important, I think, for me when I channel the highest, and of course I think everybody that, well, most people should know when you're channeling, you want to channel the highest energies, right? The one that
Yeah,
are from the highest and actually align to you and align to the people you're supporting. But actually for me, it actually gives me energy more than it takes me energy out of me. It's like
yeah,
it
because you're
really kind of
channeling that
infused.
energy, the highest energy for you to be of service. So it gives you the energy to receive the energy to be of service. So yeah, that makes total
Yeah.
sense.
Exactly. I would love, well, I want to go to light language because we don't know each other a lot, but I do channel a light language too. For me, it's started spoken and then now it's sung, so I can sing it and it's very beautiful. I love it. I love it. It's been very healing to me first. And then now, of course, my guys were like, "Well, it's not just for you. You gotta share that now."
Yeah.
So a few years back, I started, sharing this with the people on social media, and now I do it in person and on my sessions. But I would love for you to tell me how that came about for you, that light language.
Well, for me, and I'm not much of an artist, and so it started out as receiving symbols and understanding the symbols mean. And with my analytical mind, I always have to understand what it is that I receive because I just don't draw something. And so I have to. So when I receive the image, I draw it, and I'm like, ask Spirit, what does this mean? What is this for? Because I don't, you probably won't be able to see because of my like, but I have all the
Oh, wow.
symbols that I work with tattooed on me. So
Oh,
yeah.
this is really cool. Okay, so those
So
are
all the
all things that you've channeled, all symbols you've channeled.
well, the ones that are on there, most of them now are the ones that I received with my attunement. But there are a few on here that I channeled myself, and so I don't necessarily speak light language for the public, like in this kind of way. I normally reserve that for when I'm in a session with someone because of the sacredness of it, the energy of it, and I just want that to be for them. And I channel these symbols, and I have like a book filled with symbols
Oh,
that were
wow.
given to me. And it's so interesting that I'm actually right now am reading a book called The Cosmic Forces of Moon, Part One. And I just came across this symbol that I downloaded that I received about 2 years ago. And it's in the book. I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
what? So this is just beautiful and how I allow myself to open to receive this. But what I find most fascinating that and I haven't heard of anyone being able to do this. And so with galactic language, as I call it, because that's what it is, there are people who speak it, and some people may not know what it is that they are speaking, which is when my analytical mind comes into place. I have to know what I'm saying, so that way I can really understand the impact of it that I receive and give someone else. And so I used to have my own podcast, and my co-host and I, we would do weekly shows, and she would do sound language, and some of it would be with galactic language. And at the end of her transmission, I would be able to translate it into English.
Oh, wow. That's
I mean, I can
beautiful.
hear the frequency, hear the vibration because I'm clairaudient. So
Yeah,
I hear spirit. So it really helps me to understand
the
energy
meaning.
that I hear. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I get that a lot. Actually, I had a session in person, which is like a light language session, actually, where I sing and I share light language and I do a little bit for everyone. And people were like, well, do you know what it means, right? Because people like really want to
Yeah,
know. And I'm
people want
like,
to
I
know.
understand because it's like you cannot understand it with your mind, like the words, but you can understand
You
why
can
this is
understand the
being brought to
vibration.
you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like this is like a love vibration. It's like a caring love vibration. This is a clearing like language. Like I can know for me because I've been channeling for 2-3 years now, like why this one is coming forth, right? And what's the
Yeah.
message around it, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it because yeah, with her, she would do it, and then I would pause, and sometimes I could hear what it means while she's doing it, and not necessarily what it means, but the actual message of it,
Exactly.
word for word, because I hear it and it goes through whatever filter it goes through, translate it, and say, you know, translate the entire message. I'm like,
This is really cool. It's like a like language translator ability.
yeah,
I
I
love
mean,
it.
I haven't seen others be able to do that. I mean, not that I mean, I am on social media, but I'm not like on social media 24/7. What is this one saying? Well, it would be too much. I would never get off social media if that was the case. But I don't think I've seen other people translate an entire message now. So if anyone's looking for a galactic language translator, here I am.
There you go. There you go. Um, Now tell us if somebody wants to connect with you and have a session with you, like why would they come to you? What's special about you? I want to know, like, what you help people do in their life and shift and everything. I'd love to hear that.
Well, it's not necessarily what's special about me. It's more so about the energy that I connect with and the soul that I connect with. And I call myself a soul mentor for a particular reason because I work with everyone on a soul level. And for those who are watching to get a better understanding of this is to put it in context. So we have our body, we have our corporeal body, we have our energy body, we have our light body, we have our emotional body, we have all these bodies, but we have one soul. And so the soul is the energy, our blueprint of who we really are. And our soul tends to take on some of the energy that we receive in our physical space and transmits that energy up to our soul as a record keeper, so to speak, for this particular experience. And so, with that energy being recorded on the energetic space and the energetic plane, in the ethers, if you will, I then work on a soul level to say, hey, what's here, what's here, what's here, what can we remove, what can we clear, what can we enhance, on a soul level. Because once we work with the soul, we can clear everything out that needs to be cleared with, obviously with you, the client's permission, with your permission to do so. And then once that space is cleared, then we also begin to anchor that into the physical, because we all have the invisible cord that we have to our soul. So once that's clear, we then anchor into the physical and a follow up particular exercises to make everything simple to allow for them to really begin to see the transformation in their physical state. because that's what is most important, is to have a rich physical experience, a rich physical existence. And what I assist people with is any trauma, any shame, any pain, guilt, any of the law of ability, energies of frequency, implants, soul retrieval, anything that is inhibiting us from stepping into our best and highest self. Because no, don't get me wrong, we are on earth, and yes, we're here to learn, but that doesn't mean it has to be full of challenges. And it's these challenges of lessons that we keep with us even when the lessons are over. And what even baffled me is, because I didn't expect this sort of happen, is that most of the clients I see are women. And it's like, yay. And then in conjunction with that, the majority of the women that I do see have sought me for any sexual abuse. And I thought it was fascinating that, I have not experienced that myself per se, but I had a relative, my aunt, who experienced that. So I have a feeling and empathy of that through osmosis because of her. And
Mm.
it's just interesting that, the people who I help have experienced that in their life. Not saying that I, haven't helped anyone else. That's just been spills like, here you go. Okay, here's another one. Okay, here's one some more. And I'm like,
Right.
okay.
That's
Because I mean, it's the
interesting.
people's trauma.
Yeah. And it's interesting because how healing is this to heal a wound with a specific gender with the specific gender of that wound.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really feel that's very powerful. I also do. I've gone through trauma myself, and of course, when we have that wound, even if it's been healed, and we can never be 100% healed, but enough healed to be able to support others. Um, we attract people that have a vibration connected to that, because we can understand that, as you said, like, I think the soul at the higher level knows that by knocking at our door, they'll feel very understood and heard and seen for who they are and what they have to heal, and feel safe to heal, because that's the part. So I think if you can actually nurture this relationship as a man, I think it's like so beautiful. I really commend that to you. It's very, very beautiful to hear, really.
Thank, thank you. And you said one key word in that space, and that's one of the words I live by, and that is the word nurture. Because, we typically, in the community of, and I only use this term in the commercial sense, so that way people have a gist of what it is, the community of spiritual thought leaders or spiritual people, or in the community of healers, we often use the word heal or healing or some variation of, and typically when we hear that, it implies that we're broken. Some aspect of us is broken, that we need to be fixed, and we need to go to the repair shop and get a tune up
Right.
and all this other stuff. But when the fact truly is that we need to be nurtured. And this is what I do. I create nourishing environments, nourishing sessions for my clients, because that's what it is we are seeking. We are seeking this space of love and nurturing. As people who have experienced, and myself included, experienced deep trauma, there was the aspect of love that was missing from our life, which is why we sought out these experiences, or had these experiences that taught us various lessons about love itself. And so when we tap into the nurturing energy of love, we then can understand what it truly is, of how it feels to be nurtured by the creator energy, by the heavenly father, by the earthly mother, by the consciousness that there is. And so it's just speaks volumes when you open yourself to nurturing energy, as opposed to just, putting a band-aid on something else, or opposed to just fixing something. I'm not saying anything against any other healers or practitioners. This is just my thought process and how I uh, step into the space of being of service.
Yeah, I love that. And I think You probably see that too in your sessions, right? How many inner child of ours need that love, need that nurture, need this time, need this, like, I'm seen, I'm heard, and it's okay. It's okay. You're okay. Don't change now. Just allow yourself to feel what is super uncomfortable to feel, because you're
Yeah,
safe to feel it now, because you're in that very sacred space where you can let go of your blocks and your barriers and everything that the walls you put up, right? To
yeah,
like make yourself feel strong. But I think being able to give that connection, and I love that you talked about, source energy, the creator, and then the motherly energy, and like this is all there, but we've felt so disconnected from it our whole life. And every time I have a session, and I'm sure you do too, it's like, let me reconnect you so that you don't feel so alone anymore, so that you don't feel that you're in, just on your own. And it's, of course, your sadness, your challenges, your trauma, we need to look at it and help you, give you this nourishment so that you can let go and remember who you are. But like this reconnection, that not feeling separated anymore, is so important.
yeah, exactly. And you said, you said something just a moment ago that just reminded me of why I do what I do. And my first love, and will always be my love, is poetry. And the reason why I wrote or still right now this frequently poetry is because we've often had this feeling of being left alone, and so the medicine of my words was to help people not to be alone, not so they can have this feeling of comfort. And this is why I do what I do, even then, and how it translates to what I'm doing now. You we we have this illusion of being separate, this energy of being separate from everyone and everything. And our traumas, our lessons, everything has created much more of a space of illusion of separation. And so it's up to people like you, people like me, and anyone who's watching to step into that space and clear that space of illusion. It's like, hey, you're not alone, even though you may want to be. For those
Right.
introverts, yeah, I don't want to be around people today. I had enough of my people, and if you will. But it's all about knowing when to choose how to be in your space. Know whether if you want to be around people who can nourish you, or if you want to be by yourself to nourish your own energy. Really stepping into that space and owning it.
Yeah. And it's like that. I think that's what those sacred space give also. It's like, how can you feel more empowered? Like
Yeah,
this victimhood of like, oh my God, my life sucks and it's just so difficult. And yes, it is sometimes. I'm not saying my life is always perfect. Far from that. But like, what tools can you develop so that you know what to do when you're not feeling good, and you know what to do to reconnect yourself? And as you said, like sometimes you need alone time, and it's not bad, because or you need to be nourished by a relationship that actually is in alignment with you, right? We need, when
yeah,
we do this inner work, we review the people around us too,
yeah.
so that they nourish us too.
Exactly, or even just going out and getting a pint of ice cream and nourishing that inner child. Just go out and play on some swings or something. It's interesting as how we get older, we tend to forget about those fun aspects. It's like, well, that's not being an adult, or you're not doing it right, or whatever. Whatever it is. I mean, go be your 6-year old self. That's what I say.
Definitely, definitely. I love the swings. Yeah, like the seriousness, right? That comes with being an adult and being responsible. But in inner child is like, can we just play, please? Can we just laugh, please?
Yeah, exactly. So can we just go to the park? Can we go to the zoo? Can I get on a roller coaster? Come on.
Right. I love that. I love that. So if people want to connect with you, we'll leave all of your links below. Is there any platform that you use most for your business?
No, I pretty much use them all equally, but the best place to get all the information about me and who I am is on YouTube. I mean, there you can see all my videos, explanation videos, interviews I've done. You can get more of a depth into to who Hillis is, as a not just as energy practitioner, but as a person, because I feel that, when you allow yourself to be open and vulnerable, to the humanism, the humanistic that you are, you know, you just get to see. And so, yeah, people, if you want to work with me and schedule a free consultation, you can just on the link in my bio, and we can have a good time.
Oh, I love that. And you're right about that. I think, sometimes I think people want to get too serious with their business, their spiritual business too, but like we all have a human life, that just this life on camera, and it's important
Yeah.
to share authentically what we want to share. And then sometimes it opens up to like, oh, again, like we were saying earlier, right? I'm not alone. Like they've gone through that too. And usually most of us have gone through quite a bit of things
Oh yeah.
to
Oh
stand
yeah.
here right now.
You go to my YouTube channel, there are some stories for sure. Everything from poetry to plant medicine to traumas to pain and sad. Trust me, you'll find it all.
Oh, thank you so much, Hillis, for your beautiful energy, for what you do for this planet, for who you are. I was very pleased to have this beautiful conversation with you.
Thank you, Annabelle. It's been a pleasure.
And I'll see you all in the next one. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Bye.